imagine all the White House housekeepers, imagine the butlers, imagine all the staff that work to keep the White House running, that he has now put in harm's way. Imagine just the everyday people that want to serve the country and serve the first family. He's putting them in harm's way. 2 White House housekeepers have tested positive. And I think it was Chelsea Clinton that tweeted out yesterday that she's so close to many of those people and she fears for their lives. I mean, what kind of man, not just president, what kind of man would act in this way to endanger the lives of people that are taking care of him and his family? It's despicable. Despicable.
I mean, The View is the dumbest show on television, I think. That's for sure. But I wanted to play that for you just so you could hear how much rage there really is here, how much they really despise Donald Trump on a personal level. They think that they believe this stuff. I know they say it, and it's easy for us to say, come on, this is just hyperbolic rhetoric, and this is just, they're playing dirty politics here. They believe this stuff. They really do. They think the president's a racist, a rapist, a murderer, and a traitor. They believe all those things. Now, when I say they, not all of them. Some of them are obviously being cynical about all of this. But some of them are, in fact, so stupid that they'll buy into this. They'll think that this is an accurate view of the leader of the free world. And you'll notice there's a huge difference between the way that conservatives opposed the Obama administration, which was largely based on, not entirely, but largely based on not agreeing with and opposing Obama's policies, his decisions as president, and the deeply personal vitriol, the deeply personal hatred that they have for this president. And on the how stupid are they side of it, I mean, Joy Behar, she's back. Play 12.
Well, I have to say, when I saw him running up those stairs, I thought, this guy thinks he's Sylvester Stallone in Rocky. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. The only thing is, Rocky was not loaded up with, let's see, remdesivir and dexamethasone. He had this one just got out of a hospital with 1 million drugs in his system. And by the way, he was shaking a little bit.
He didn't look good. I don't like the way he looked. He wasn't good. It wasn't good. I hate him. He's bad. Bad man.
Orange man bad. It's all just orange man bad. Nothing else is allowed to really enter into the conversation. Nothing can change their minds. Everything Trump does is evil. I mean, if Trump did, in fact, personally cure cancer tomorrow, there would be Democrats with cancer had some good stuff that we need to talk about now. Look what Trump has done. He's so awful. I mean, they would find a way. They would find a way to take that position, as insane as it clearly is. But this is what we are up against in this election cycle, and I think everybody needs to understand it. Although there was a moment of self-awareness from Don Lemon, Mr. Don Lemon, over at CNN, who does occasionally, because he's sometimes too dumb to say things quietly, he says them loudly, things that Democrats aren't supposed to say. So he can be unintentionally insightful. But here he is, play 8.
Joe Biden is not Hillary Clinton. People, this isn't me. I'm not saying that I don't like Hillary Clinton, but she did not have a high favorability rating. Joe Biden's favorability ratings are higher. As you so rightly pointed out, now this president is not just aspirational. He has a record, right, that he's run on and that he, and most of the time, continues to run into the ground. And I think that people talk about the silent majority. You said, you don't see the lawn signs or whatever. I think that people feel that they don't have to put up lawn signs and do all those things because the lawn sign is Trump out every day giving misinformation. And when after someone annoys you for a while, you have your detractors, Chris, many of them on state television like I do. What's the best way to handle it? You just ignore it.
Naked choke?
No, just ignore
Punch
them.
the sternum?
That people, when you ignore people, that is the worst thing that you can do to anyone. So I think that people are sick of, quite frankly, sick of us talking about Trump every single night, leading with him. It's the bulk of our show. People are tired of it, and they're tired of his antics. And I think there's a silent majority who are just going to say, you know what, I'm done.
He's right about people are just tired of the way that CNN is the anti-Trump network every single night. That's it. Every night they're talking about how terrible Trump is. Everything they're doing is geared toward that one outcome of not just defeating Trump in the election, but turning as many people as possible into orange man bad, Trump is evil, and nothing else matters. There's no other discussion of politics or policy that we need to have, because as long as we all understand that Trump is literally the worst person in all of history, then that's all that they will get into. One thing tonight in the debate that I'm sure will come up is about how the Democrats position themselves. Now, this is Biden saying it, but Kamala Harris will do this too, as the side that opposes hate. And this is another narrative that we need to pull apart, deconstruct a bit. The side that opposes hate. Here's Joe Biden saying just that. Play 7.
I made the decision to run for president after Charlottesville. Close your eyes and remember what you saw. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and the KKK coming out of the fields with torches lighted, veins bulging, chanting the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s. It was hate on the march, in the open, in America. Hate never goes away. It only hides. And when it's given oxygen, when it's given an opportunity to spread, when it's treated as normal and acceptable behavior, we've opened a door in this country that we must move quickly to close. As president, that's just what I will do. I will send a clear, unequivocal message to the entire nation. There is no place for hate in America. It will be given no license. It will be given no oxygen. It will be given no safe harbor.
Interesting. Do we think it's fair to say that there's a good chunk of the Democrat Party that hates law enforcement? I mean a lot. I mean a lot of Democrats, when you add it all together, really hate the cops. Is that hate, or what do we call that? When you describe someone as a racist murderer worthy of violent assault because of their job, isn't it fair to say you hate them? Isn't it fair to say that Democrats are being trained by their media night after night to hate Trump supporters? To hate them, not to disagree with them, not to try to win them over, just to view them with a viciousness and a disdain that Trump supporters are beneath contempt. Isn't that what we're seeing from, I want to talk about state media. I mean, the Democrat Party runs the media, 95% of it. So isn't that hatred? I think it is. Why is it that when something happens that the left doesn't approve of, there will be innocent people who are attacked, there'll be bloodshed in the streets, there'll be stores that are broken into, and we all know that that's the expectation. But we just accept that? Is there hatred behind that? Oh, what about what we have seen where Trump supporters have been attacked, have been violently assaulted for wearing MAGA hats? And is that considered a hatred? I just want to know. And to say that a group of people, whether it's law enforcement or Trump supporters or all together, are evil, and that they believe in something that's destroying the country. I think it's interesting. They really believe that the H word, hate, is something that only the left gets to throw around, and that they're the great crusaders against it, when we all recognize that what they've been doing, what their Democrat shock troops have been up to all summer, is deeply hateful. Hateful to small business owners, hateful to Republicans and to police and to anyone who believes in law and order. Never forget that video. It was really insightful. And I know it was just one little moment in time, but that video where you had a bunch of kids playing beer pong and BLM rioters were walking past their window and they waved to them and they threw a rock through their window and the kids are all, "We're on your side." No, it's a hateful movement. Look at the spittle and the rage coming from the mouths of white female Biden voters in D.C. who get in the faces of law enforcement and call them traitors, race traitors even. That actually happened, too. I'm not forgetting that. That happened to the NYPD. Cops who were themselves minorities are called betrayers of their race by these protesters. Is that hateful? I think that's very hateful. I think that's very destructive. But yet this term is thrown around as though the Democrats are trying to promote a country full of unity and love and decency and kindness. They're the ones that have been rampaging through the streets for months. And that's why that Michelle Obama video that she put out there. Here's one piece of it. Play 20.
The message we will send to our children about who we are and what we truly value. Think about what would possibly compel you to accept this level of chaos, violence, and confusion under this president and be willing to watch our country continue to spiral out of control, because we can no longer pretend that we don't know exactly who and what this president stands for. Search your hearts and your conscience, and then vote for Joe Biden like your lives depend on it.
Like your lives depend on it, she says, because otherwise you're going to have all the hate and violence. Remember, she mentioned violence, destruction, and who's responsible for the violence and destruction that this country has been in the grip of for months now? The answer is Democrats, friends. The answer is the Joe Biden party. The answer is former Obama voters. That's who has been doing this. Why can't we just all be honest about at least that fact? Because to vote for Biden is to embrace the big lies. Well, you might have heard there is a debate tonight with the Vice President of the United States and the would-be Vice President, if she has her way, Kamala Harris. We are now joined by someone from the Trump campaign to tell us what they're expecting from their side. We've got Ali Pardo with us now. She's the Deputy Communications Director for the Trump campaign. Ali, how you doing?
Great. Thanks so much for having me out here in Salt Lake City. VP is ready to go. I think we're going to see a clear contrast tonight, just like we did last week, of the agenda that the president's put out, this America First agenda that's really been delivering for the American people, and what you're seeing from the left, which is a socialist agenda, take us backwards, a $4 trillion tax hike. You're talking about the most liberal senator in the country on the stage tonight. She is to the left of Bernie Sanders. I'm not saying that. The studies say that. And so I think the decision and the contrast could not be clearer.
So what are some of these special debate protection measures we're seeing? Are they going to be separated by plexiglass at the debate? Are they going to be in bubbles? Is there still some negotiation going on over this?
It is an interesting process. Our debate negotiations are constantly ongoing, not only for this debate, but also for the following two debates. There have been some interesting demands and requests from the Biden-Harris campaign this time around. Obviously, we do everything that's recommended to us, and we agree everything that's recommended to us by the health professionals. It seems to me, honestly, that they're just trying to virtue signal a little on the Biden-Harris side. But obviously, we've come to expect that. I hope that they have a really good opportunity to talk about this tonight, because the Biden-Harris campaign wants to say one thing and then do another. When you've seen this vice president leading the task force of the greatest public-private partnership in history, really delivering the best testing capabilities in the world, delivering a vaccine in what's going to be record time. Those are the things that people are going to be listening to tonight. And I think the vice president's going to be able to do a very good job explaining that to the American people and contrasting that with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who say a lot and do very little.
Now, what are some of the questions that you expect the vice president to try? I know he's not the moderator, so technically he's not the one asking the questions, but if he's going to try to push to get an answer, and there will be some free form exchanges between these two ideological combatants on that stage tonight, what is he going to push on? Supreme Court packing? I mean, what's at the top of the agenda for Pence to show in terms of the contrast between the two?
Oh, I mean, I think that Supreme Court packing is definitely on the list. Why haven't we heard an answer? from Joe Biden or Kamala Harris on that issue? Why will they not say yes or no on if they're for quarterbacking? And we know she is, but is he? And is there a ticket? So I think that that's an interesting question that's going to get asked. Additionally, you're talking about a $4 trillion tax increase. How is she going to pay for that? And why does she think the American people are willing to have that burden put on them? Especially when we're bouncing out of a pandemic. It just makes no sense. Additionally, she is one of the first sponsors of the Green New Deal. Does she stand by that? Joe Biden tries to say he doesn't, but it's still on their website. I think these are really important questions for the American people to hear. There's people all across this country. I know you're in stations all across the country. You're talking to Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Florida. When you ask these folks about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris wanting to ban fracking, you're talking about wiping out complete industries in those states, wiping out not only industries, but industries that hold up their economy. So I think there's so much for us to hear tonight and to ask questions about. Unfortunately, she hasn't been known to answer any of these questions, but the vice president is tough, and I expect him to push and hope to get some of those questions answered.
There were questions, and we are speaking to Ali Pardo, who's the Deputy Communications Director for the Trump campaign. Ali, there were questions. Look, I had concerns about what happened in the last debate in terms of the moderator, Chris Wallace. What can you tell us about the campaign's feelings tonight?
Well, I mean, Susan Page hasn't been our biggest fan, but there's not a lot of people in the media that we that are, or that really give the president and the vice president the respect and then the attention that they deserve on the issues that they're pushing. But I think what I can tell you is this: the vice president's going to have his time, and he's going to make sure that our record and our agenda and what we want to do moving forward is talked about and displayed. We always expect it to be 2-1, but we still like our odds, and so I'm pretty confident. I know the vice president's going into tonight very confident. And I'd say stand by and get ready for a good night.
And just before we let you go, what is the standing right now of follow-up debates? Are they going to happen?
Yeah, the president absolutely intends to debate, obviously following CDC guidelines and everything that's laid out. Right now, there's no reason why he wouldn't be able to, based on the guidelines and our understanding of the process moving forward. So, we hope he stays in good health, and he's a fighter, and I think he's proven that there's no one better to have fighting for you than him. And he is going to get out there and talk to the American people about how we can responsibly move forward. I think that's the biggest thing, is it's time to responsibly reopen and move forward. You're going to hear that from the vice president tonight, and also from the president in the debates to come. There's kids that need to get back to school. There is, child abuse cases not getting reported, families not being able to get fed because of the jobs that are not reopening. So I think it's time for us to safely reopen, but also to reopen, right? It's two things: do it safely, but also make sure we're actually doing it. So that's what the president's going to talk about, and we look forward to more of that.
Ali Pardo, Deputy Communications Director for the Trump campaign. Ali, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
It's time for roll call.
Roll call. Facebook.com/Buck Sexton or Team Buck at iHeartMedia.com. Yeah, that's the way to reach out to us. Or Buck Sexton on Instagram. Send us the gram. That's what we got going on. Producer Mark, you see the NBA's ratings are down 50% for the finals.
I did, yeah.
Do you think that's just because people, without crowds and everything, it's not as exciting, or you think it's a political backlash?
I think 20 to 30% of it is just because the NFL's around, there's playoff baseball, there was hockey, different time of year, all that stuff. I think the rest very well could be political, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Because I saw that. If you have let's say you were running a broadcast news station or something, and you had a 50% drop in ratings, like everyone's getting fired. That's catastrophic. Yeah. So 50% drop for the NBA Finals, I think, is...
I think that happens to sports every year during an election year. I think that's the reason the NFL's down slightly, is because people are watching the news and more into politics nowadays.
Yeah,
every 4 years.
For the next few weeks, I hope Mrs. Mark knows that, you're going to be stretched to the limit, Producer Mark.
Luckily, she's never here.
Oh, well, there you go. That's easier to deal with. Let's get to it. Well, I was playing. I played a little Call of Duty last. Oh no, it wasn't Call of Duty. It was FIFA, the soccer game on PS4. And someone actually took the time to write me very mean messages about how they had beaten me with a lot of curse words. And I just kind of was like, producer Mark, why can't everyone just be nice? Why are people such lunatics? I'm like, it's a sports video. That's what I was thinking about sports. It's a sports video game.
Is your name Buck Sexton on there?
No. It's like, French Bulldog, fan 2025 or something. I have no idea.
I never understood why talking trash in video games. People you don't know. Like if you're playing friendly with a friend and you want to, razz them a little bit,
but like
fine.
Talking trash to strangers over video games?
No, that's just
people are
silly.
insane. They're insane. This is what happens in lockdown. I mean, I tried to resist it as long as I could, but the PS4 has made a comeback a little bit during lockdown after 10 years of not touching video games. All right, here we go. Jim writes, "Hey, Buck and Mark, I'm a medical laboratory scientist and work in a hospital. One thing that often gets left out of the discussion on the ACA is how people with employer-sponsored healthcare have been screwed. Before the ACA, I could afford healthcare easily. Not any longer. Between the deductible and copays, I have to spend over $8,000 out of my pocket before I am fully covered. That's not to include the almost $400 a month I have to pay as a premium, and my hospital system owns the insurance company." Shields high, fellow patriots. No, Jim, this is very important what you're saying, and I wish the Trump administration had more powerful messaging on this point. I know they say Obamacare is bad, but people need to know why it's bad. It's expensive, crappy insurance. That's what it really gives people. Or it's Medicaid, which, is better than nothing, people think, but not much better than nothing. Medicaid, if you have a real problem, you end up having a very limited network, long waits, a lot of specialists. If you get cancer or something, a lot of hospitals aren't going to take it. It's just not good. But all along, Obamacare was sold to us under false pretenses that they were going to cover more people for less money and get better care. That's just not true. And it's really not possible for the government to just mandate that. The only way that you can have that is by inducing shortages, which will lead to rationing. Right? The shortages, we don't have enough stuff to give everybody what they want. The rationing is, okay, because we don't have enough stuff, this is what you get. We tell you what you get. This is basic economics, but Democrats think that they can suspend the laws of basic economics whenever they want to. All right, here we go. Michelle writes, "Don't know if you mentioned it already, but Turn is a great series about civilian spies for George Washington on Long Island during the Revolutionary War. Designated Survivor was good, too." I think I watched a couple of episodes of Turn, and I liked it years ago, but I didn't dig in and watch the whole thing. And Designated Survivor, that one is, I think I saw the first 2 episodes of that as well. It's got a little liberal for me, I think, if I remember. You ever seen that one, Producer Mark?
I like that one, actually.
All right.
It was Kiefer Sutherland, which, him as Jack Bauer is just amazing.
Yeah. 24 people loved, so interesting.
You never watched 24?
No, I was working in the CIA when 24 was going on, so I was.
That's
like,
true.
Oh, it's like being at the
little
office.
too close to home for you then.
Yeah, totally. But also the problem is when you work in that, it's very hard. I can do it now, but it's very hard to watch that stuff and not say, "Oh my God, that's so fake," or "Oh, that would never happen," or whatever. It's tough to watch these things and not when you work in counterterrorism at the CIA, and then you're watching a show about CIA counterterrorism, you're like, that's ridiculous. That's tough not to do that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's probably why they used a fake entity. Like they called it the CTU, which is not obviously real.
Yeah, well, I was working in CTC, which is the Counterterrorism Center, when everyone was watching CTU and Kiefer Sutherland. All I can tell you is the shows are much more interesting than real life, that's for sure, but that's not a surprise to anybody. So let's get to it now. Designated Survivor, I'll check that one out again at some point. But I got a pretty long list right now of shows that I'm actually pretty well stocked. And the Snow Princess wanted me to insist that everybody knows that the only reason she had a problem with Poldark was that she didn't like that there were some socialist undertones for the lead character in the few episodes we watched, which is fair. So she's keeping it real. Next up here, we have Ryan. Buck, love the show. Been a regular listener and a fan for a long time. Thank you so much for speaking truth about one of the reasons we're hit so hard by COVID. We as a country aren't very healthy, and I hope this message hits home so we can be better prepared for this kind of thing the next time we are faced with a pandemic. Making better health and wellness choices through our lives is the best vaccine we can hope for, and that doesn't mean closing gyms and small food shops down. But I worry we as a country won't face hard realities or make tough decisions anymore. That will really keep us great. Let us both hope I'm wrong. Shields high. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for your support of the show and for listening, and means a lot to me and Mark and the whole team here in the hut. As for, we are a country that need to have more of a focus on health. In fact, I'll just tell you, I have this, I mean, maybe it's a dream, or I don't know if it's a vision for the future of the country. But now that everyone's realizing that you can work from, I shouldn't say everyone, but now that there's an understanding in corporate America, at least, that work from home is a much more viable solution and a much better day-to-day, and the productivity is, for many people, up. I mean, I'm doing more content now on a day-to-day basis than I've ever done before, and it's only possible, and it's already stretching me to the limit, but it's only possible because I can do it all without having to commute, not burn an hour and a half, 2 hours a day in transit. I mean, that's crappy to have to deal with that every day. That burns a lot of your time. I'm hoping that there's also going to be a greater emphasis on work, that people have greater work-life balance, and that now everyone will realize that this whole 8-hour workday thing, the 8-hour workday for most people, unless you're in a service job and it's hourly, but for a lot of people that work in more office culture, it's a little bit like the movie Office Space, where, he says, at any given week, I do about 30 minutes of actual real work. It's more than that, but I think that most people probably spend 4 hours of their 8 every day doing stuff they have to do, and then 4 hours in either unnecessary meetings, traveling to whatever it is that they've got to do in the course of the day, just unnecessary nonsense, wasting time, going online, doing things. So now it's really all, okay, you have tasks, you have expectations for your role. Maybe now, when it's just based on your output and not based on your time on an issue, you'll be able to get more done in less time, effectively, which I also hope is the case with the more and more people homeschooling. I think if you have individualized instruction, and I know there's challenges to homeschooling too for people, and a lot of two-parent or income households out there, but if you can get somebody who has one-on-one instruction for 4 or 5 hours a day, then are they able to just do whatever they want, play sports, go do other activities with kids in the area, the neighborhood, for the rest of the day? I mean, I remember the school day when I remember it when I was in high school. I think we started at 8:30 a.m. and I would start 8:30 a.m. and finished at like 3:30 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon. It's a long day for a lot of and they jam things in there that really didn't need to be in there. I think it could be shorter and more efficient, that's all I'm saying. And I think shorter and more efficient, and therefore more freedom, is a possibility for all of us in different ways in our jobs and in our roles. So that would be great. There are some jobs that still require physical presence, obviously manufacturing and people who are, work with their hands, and people there's still stuff where you can't just phone it in from the couch. But for a lot of service jobs that are internet based, and you're able to do this stuff. So I'm hoping that means there'll be more opportunity for people to also be healthier. Health is important. Health needs to be a focus. And everyone, and this is another thing, everyone is in charge of their own health. No one's going to make you healthy. No one's going to make you take the time to learn. And everyone has different stuff. I have different medical conditions that I have to manage and deal with, and it's all on me. I can go to a lot of doctors and get advice and stuff, but at the end of the day, what do I do with the information I have? How do I actually live my life? What do I prioritize? As I've gotten a little bit older now, I'm deep into my 30s. I know, it's crazy. These bones are getting creaky. You think getting enough sleep, things that my parents told me when I was a little kid that I was like, that's dumb. Nope, they were right. Getting enough sleep, limiting your alcohol intake. I know people don't like to hear that, but I'm not anti-booze, but you got to think of booze like chocolate cake, and it all makes more sense, right? You have a piece, maybe two if you're really partying, but you don't eat the whole cake. And when I was in college, we were eating whole cakes every night. I mean, it was crazy. So that's the impact that has on your health. I mean, look, you know all this stuff, but as you get older, you just realize, because you also see the results of it more. You see the results. Do you wear sunscreen? Do you drink too much? Do you have reasonable eating habits? Look, I'm a guy who likes brie and chocolate chip cookies. So, I got to spend some time in the gym, and I got to kind of limit that stuff, because otherwise, you end up looking like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So we've all got our challenges with this stuff. But whether it's avoiding a pandemic disease or it's just keeping yourself day to day functioning at your optimum level of personal health efficiency, which really does also translate into a degree of happiness, it's on individuals. And there's more self-education you can do on this stuff than ever before. And I think this should be a much bigger part of what kids are, learn about, and is part of a wholesome life in existence in school. I think people need to learn about health in school. They need to learn about personal finance in school. And it should be it's a curriculum thing. Everyone's, I took Latin for like 4 years or something in grammar school. Look, that's fine. I mean, it's helpful in some ways, I guess. But I would have really liked to understand at an early age things like compound interest and, high dividend stock investing. And these are things that, the younger you are and the more proactive and strategic you are, you don't need a lot of money to set up a comfortable retirement if you start young, have discipline, understand what you're doing. You don't need a lot of money to do it at all. I'm pretty sure with compound interest at an 8% a year annualized return, if you starting at age 18, I think if you amass close to $30,000, now that I'm not saying that's not a lot, but that's pre-tax. You put that in by the time you're, I think it was 28. So if you have 10 years, $28,000, and you let it sit. There's a famous Tony Robbins clip where he talks about this. And you let it sit at 8% and then compound interest, you will end up with $1.8 million to retire on by the time you're 65. I wish I had known more about that kind of stuff. So I'm just saying there's a lot of things out there. I know I got a little bit down the rabbit hole on this one.